Now, here's your host, the one and only Julian Torres.
What's going on, all you big dogs, coffee connoisseurs, alligator wranglers? What's happening? What's good? We're in my gym for this one, and I wanted to do in here, to be honest with you. It's kind of like my office, but I don't know, man. This is where I come in here to work things out. I iron things out. This is where I guess, lack of better terms, is my happy place. So if you hear some echoing, or you hear some cars rolling by, or you hear some right now it's raining, so if you hear like some rain coming through, actually, I hope it actually comes through, so we could catch it on, hear that audio a little bit. But I don't know. We're in my gym, so if there's the audio quality kind of gets a little sad, sorry about that. All right, but like I always do, before every episode, I really like to express my gratitude, and I really like to take a moment, and do a little housekeeping, and just express my gratitude for everybody who helped put Humpty Dumpty back together again. All right, so here we go. I can't say this enough, and this person in particular is, I feel like doesn't get enough recognition, and in fact, most spouses don't get enough recognition for what they do for their service members that are, active duty and whatnot. But, my wife, it's important to remember that she's the real hero in all of this. She's the one who has been with me since 2006, and she's my ride or die. I'm so thankful for the unconditional love, the late night conversations, always willing to lend an ear. Of course, I did tons of work on my own and stuff like that, but it's important to mention that I wouldn't be half the person or half the man that I am today if it wasn't for her. So just please take note of that. Secondly, on the docket, we got 3 dockets here, but secondly is all those dudes in 2nd Battalion, all those wild ass dudes in 2nd Battalion, 6th Marines Golf Company, that put their hands in me and on me to stop the bleeding, and to really save my life, wash my wounds out before I got on the medevac flight. All those dudes who were first responders to old Humpty Dumpty. And so without you guys, I just wouldn't even be here. So sincerely, thank you. And next, to all the nonprofits and to all those people who donated to those nonprofits that helped me along the way, to help me successfully transition into where I am at today. And, thank you. I think what I want to say is, like, thank you for providing people with a means to help vets along their way. And to mention a few is, Semper Fi Fund, Homes for Our Troops, the Heroes Project, Sentinels of Freedom, We Care Marines, Catch a Lift Fund, and the Armed Services YMCA. Sincerely, thank you for doing what you guys do. It doesn't go unnoticed, and thank you. Now, here's a little PSA. Sorry for all the housekeeping up front, but I got to say this, before we begin with all this, package I'm about to unpack, I just want you to understand and know that, like, I am in no way lecturing or talking to you if I use the words me or I or you. It's just the way this sentence needs to go. I'm not really talking to you, but hey, by all means, if it resonates with you, if it speaks to you, then great, awesome, but at the end of the day, I don't want to come off as a dude who, oh, I got all my shit together, I got it all fucking figured out. Look, man, I'm just a dude trying to figure out what this meatball is doing in this soup. You know what I mean? I'm really just trying to figure out and make a note of where I'm at, a snapshot of where I am at in my time. And some things that I feel like are worthwhile telling and worthwhile making a note. And from my vantage point, it's you hear that rain? I hope you can hear it. But from my vantage point, life is to suffer, and I think that's the currency in life. Is that in order for you to be alive, you must suffer. And it's our job and it's our meaning. Montgomery. Sorry about that. But from our vantage point, life is to suffer. There's almost a currency in the transaction. In order for you to be alive is to suffer. And in order for you to, it's our job to find that meaning in that suffering. And I think that if we can lift the fog up a little bit, we can catch little glimpses of your meaning. Just because it hurts and just because it's painful doesn't mean that it's not a lesson. And in that lesson, I think you'll find your meaning. At least I found mine. And here's a little glimpse of my meaning, all right? Of course, if this is a little too much, or you get triggered, or if you got PTSD or anything like that, man, pause it, stop listening to it. Do whatever you got to do to make sure you stay healthy, and I support you, man. Listen to it at a time, but yeah, there may be some triggers for you throughout this episode, so all right. The first thing I like to talk about is humility. And, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but humility isn't a bad thing. It's just, it's not a bad thing. And if I had to be honest, if I had to describe what humility is to me and how I perceive it, for one, it just reminds me that I'm in a process, and I'm in that process, and that's okay to be in that process of learning something. It's just an indicator of, Julian, you have more to learn. You're not quite there yet. You're not quite proficient enough. And if you are proficient enough and you do mess up and you do get embarrassed, then you just weren't paying attention to something. And you forgot the lessons that you learned way back when. So humility isn't a bad thing. It's just, it's just kind of like an inappropriate friend. Just kind of, you know what I mean? Just kind of, he's that dude that always talks out of the side of his neck, just irrational sometimes. That's who humility is. You just kind of you love him. He's kind of like a big old dog, and it's just, I don't know. Anyway, humility isn't a bad thing. The next thing I want to talk about is everything is 100-100. When it comes to relationships, nothing is ever 50-50. In this particular lesson, I feel like it kind of bleeds into the thing that that says, how you do something is how you do everything. And, when I got married, a lot of it was always about, everything's 50-50, Julian. And, everything's 50-50, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, like the blast took that old notion, that old paradigm, and it blew it right out of the sky. Because there was this time, because of there was a time I remember, and I didn't learn this lesson until like much later after my injury, but I could look back on it and I can remember, very vividly that, this was like 2010, maybe somewhere between 2010 2011, And I didn't realize this until probably like 2014, but I remember the time when I had just taken my my heavy narcos, you know what I mean? I was on Oxycontins, and I was on Lyrica, and I was on Oxycontins, SRs and IRs and Lyrica, and I needed those, you know what I mean? I needed those in order to heal. And I remember, Ashley was coming up to me, and she was like, I don't even know what she was really talking about. And I don't even know if I asked her today if she remembers what she was talking about, but that's not the point. The point is that she needed to tell me something. She needed to tell me something to help her make a decision on something. And I was sitting on the floor, my back up against the couch. And I remember just sitting there being like, I'm sorry, like I'm starting to nod off. And the pills are starting to take over, and I just was like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm like, stop talking, because I'm about to pass out, and I don't want to pass out on you. And she's just, she was like, okay. And like, if you look at everything and you boil everything down, like, she needed me to be there. She needed me to be a partner. And way back in 2010, 2011, like, I wasn't as much as I wanted it to be, and maybe I was, if I had to give a percent to something, old girl says, hey, take it easy. But old Montgomery's coming by to see me. But if I had to give a percentage, it was, maybe I was giving 20%, and she had to come up with another 180, or she had to come up with another 80. And at the end of the day, like, sometimes you can only give 20%. Sometimes, and that is your 100%. You're giving your best, and sometimes it's not enough. But it doesn't matter. Like, like, you have to give that 100%. When did you ever give something? If all you can give is 20%, you better give 20, like 100 of that 20%. Not 19.9, no, 100. If you can, like, I remember, I mean, like, I don't know, man. You just gotta figure out what you can do, and do that in that relationship. If that's all you can do, then do that. And do that to where it's like, and let's say, for instance, this is gonna be comical, right? Let's say, for instance, all you can do is scrub a toilet. You can clean the bathroom. You can maybe fold the laundry. You can maybe prep the laundry. You can maybe, at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, and this is for me, right? Like, I'm not talking to you. This is a note for myself, is that you always got to ask yourself, what can I do for the team? What can I do for the team? And do that. See that hole and then fill it. And that's all you can do. Efforts don't ever go unnoticed. And like that, just like at the end of the day, when did you ever put in 50% and it worked out the way you wanted it to? When did you ever do anything half-ass and got the results that you wanted to get? It just doesn't really work that way. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. Yeah, everything's 100. Ask yourself what the team needs and feel it. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Let me say that again. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And at the end of the day, you can see all these all over Instagram or Pinterest or anything else you look at for motivational posters, but and you know, if you are looking to be validated in the sense that you are sad and you are upset, um, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. And when you look at something like that, and if you're hanging around a bunch of people who are a bunch of naysayers and a bunch of punks and a bunch of people who aren't expecting you to grow or mature, or they just kind of just stagnant water, and they're just full of little parasites, mold, and just nasty. Chances are you're gonna be just as nasty as they are. You're gonna be just as you're just gonna be just like a vampire, sucking people's energy. You know what I mean? But now on the flip side of the coin, we talked a little bit about the negative side, but the positive side of that is, if you surround yourself with champions, you know, you're going to be a champion. You're going to be your best self. You're going to, so many times I had to say bye to people, and people had to say bye to me too. And I had to say bye to people. And, because I saw what the writing was on the wall, and I saw that, I was starting to adopt some of that behavior, and I didn't want that behavior in my life. I didn't want that for me. I knew that there was something better for me. And so, I had to part ways. But, just remember that it matters who you hang out with and who you associate with. Because a lot of times the people that we hang out with and the people that we look at and we associate with, chances are they're just mere images of ourselves. So if you need to look at something in the sense to where, like, where do I need improvement at? Look around you. Because those are your physical, in my opinion, those are your physical people will remind you of what you are, or what you are willing to tolerate within yourself. I don't know. So your vibe attracts your tribe. This next one I'm going to talk about, is going to be, we're going to spend a little bit of time here. And and this was honestly the reason why I didn't know if I wanted to even do this podcast. And this was honestly the reason that was like, this was my mental hurdle to get over. And the reason why we're even doing this podcast is because of this lesson. And I even threw it in the middle of it so I can kind of forget about it in the beginning. And so here we are. Forgiveness isn't for you. I'm sorry. It's for you. It's not for the other person. This is another thing that the blast kind of obliterated, was that too often than not that I think that if I forgave that person, then I was giving that person a pass. Even though I wanted to feel validated, I wanted to feel like, motherfucker, dude, like, why would you want to maim somebody? Why wouldn't you just want to just, like, kill him, take it to him? Why would you want somebody to be walking around on Earth with bionic legs? But then I came to realize that the deeds aren't done to you. They're done for you. And they're done for you to help you figure out why they are making you feel so unbalanced. Why are they making you feel that way? What are your mishaps that are making you feel like that because of that certain situation? To be honest with you, the story about the dude or the girl or the kid who planted my bomb there that I stepped on, who, like, I forgive him. How did they know how I was going to take it? How did they know? How did they know that like how I was going to interpret it? How did they know if I was going to live or die? How did they know how I would have felt about feeling maybe bumping into him one day at Target or Walmart or whatever? They had no idea that I would feel like that. They would have no idea on how, sometimes late at night I would stay up and wonder, why am I even here? Wonder why, like, how did I survive? Now, I never really wondered so much why, but how? Because of math and science just doesn't explain it very well. And I have a good friend of mine, he would get shot one time and he's gone. That's it. Roll the credits. And here I am, get blasted in the air, see my shadow, and I fall flat on the ground. And now I'm here. And I realized that, like, even though I wanted to be validated, even though I wanted to say, on the top of my lungs, like, fuck you! Why the fuck would you take my legs? I'm a Marine. I got a job to do. I'm good at this job. Even though I can sit there and just, like, scream on top of my lungs, you know what I mean? Like, I had to come to the realization that, like, what did I want more in life? Did I want to be right? Or did I want to be, like, happy? Did I want to be right? Or did I want to be stuck in 2010? Or did I want to move on past that and realize that, like, I am the master of my fate and I am the captain of my soul, and that this is a thing that I have to do for me? That forgiveness, if I forgave anybody, it would mean that, like, I would come to that certain event and have peace inside me. Of course I want to be validated, man. Who doesn't? But at the end of the day, it's like, you got to realize that, like, man, dude, being validated is only half the step, man. I want to be happy. I want to be fulfilled. I want to be able to have this opportunity to experience life to the fullest. And before I can do that, I have to forgive. And I have to give that to myself. I'm not saying that you don't feel those fucking angry feelings and those fucking cheated feelings and stuff like that, man. Like, but you just have to be like, you know what? I forgive you. Whoever put that bomb there. And honestly, if I met that person tomorrow, you know what I mean? I'd probably hug him. And just say, like, you know what, man? It's all right. Because at the end of the day, I could take it. And I have. On a lighter note, the next thing I learned, and And I really had to adopt this, and I really had to sit there and I had to say, I had to make this my mission, and I had to make this pretty much my mantra, and it still is, that life is good. This is a choice. Being alive, even if, I am struggling, it's all worth it. It doesn't matter that, because it's so much better than the alternative. It's so much better than the alternative. Which brings me to my next point. That closed mouths don't get fed, Closed mouths don't get fed. If you want something, go get it. But be willing to put it down and then make that effort to where you can make something of that request. And sometimes that request isn't, you don't know how you're going to get it done. It just looks so grand. It doesn't look like it's even tangible or even reachable, you know what I mean? But, and it can be so small as stop smoking, or, you want to get in shape, or, for whatever those reasons are, you can say, I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to be in the moment with my kids, whatever those feelings are, closed mouths don't get fed. And whatever those goals are, will bring me fulfillment, will bring me gratitude, will bring me self-appreciation, and that's the start, in my opinion, writing those goals down, regardless of how small or big you think they are. That's when you start really developing that. You really start developing that person of not being able to let yourself down, that you're showing up for yourself. Being able to count on yourself and rely on yourself. That when you look around, one of the people that are there in the rooms that are going to support you is you. I think a lot of people, they say, where's your support network at? And who's in your support network? Who's going to be there for you? Do you have somebody you can call? You have to ask yourself too, can I call on myself? Can I show up for myself? Can I be there for myself? And more often than not, the answer is no. And so I think that's where you can ask for those permissions to start developing that character of being who you want yourself to be. The next one, and the best way you can do that, the best way for me, where I started to learn that I can take control of the things I needed to take control of, which is my life, which is my circumstances, you know what I mean? The very basic tier is the workout. It's done so much for me, I was slurping down caffeinated drinks 2 or 3 times a day, always always tired, and always just kind of it was all heart. Every single day was just all heart, you know what I mean? And the mental fortitude and all that stuff, but now that I work out, man, I am just surprised at how much I can do in one day, because I started off with a workout. Hard workout, as hard as I can go. And at first, when I've only really been working out with the weights and stuff like that. I've only really been working out maybe like 2 years, 2 or 3 years. No, 2 years. And dude, and when I started off, I could only do 3 push-ups. 1, 2. And it was just man. Now it's just what else can I add to? What else can I add? What else can I add? And it's just slowly building that, that endurance, really. that strength, and um, that's, I mean, just do something difficult as you can do, and only do what you can handle at first, and and write it out. Make a little plan, and just build from there. The next thing is and this kind of ties, everything kind of really ties in nicely, but this one's really about momentum. And once you start doing stuff like that, things will be worth doing for the doing, not for self, acknowledgement and just blasting out there on Instagram or, Facebook or anything like that. Like, whoa, look what I'm doing. No, things are worth doing for the doing. Just ask yourself what's next. Sometimes it's impossible to sit there and say, how am I going to, plan for my future? It's so vast, especially when you get out of the military. It's just so vast, and it almost seems like it's impossible. And you just got to say, how do I eat an elephant? And take that approach. It's one bite at a time. That's how things are done, and that's how things are, how anything's really done. It's just one step at a time. Just for instance, like the Kilimanjaro poster, like those things weren't done. That wasn't done for anything else but to say, well, the first to honor my friend and friends, and to make it worthwhile for those veterans and those friends that never made it back home.
Thank you for listening to my
Remember that the opening and closing music is produced and created by Zoo Will. Thank you so much for your time, listening, subscribing, and supporting this podcast. I sincerely appreciate you.